Welcome back for the last of 2022's reading wrap-ups. It was a bit of an underwhelming reading month to end the year, but there was one book that I got really excited about. I will soon also share my favorite and least favorite books of 2022, as well as a flip through of my entire reading journal, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. The first book I finished in December was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, a young adult mystery that was very popular on BookTube and BookTok, and so I picked it up a while ago at a secondhand bookshop. For me, it didn't quite live up to the hype. I thought it was just okay and personally lacked a lot of the things that I was hoping for. We follow Cadence, or Katie, who always spends her summers on this private island with her family. It's where she spends her time with the group of friends they call the Liars. It isn't really explained why they call themselves that in this book, but I think there's a prequel for that. From the start of the book, we know that there was an incident or accident or something that resulted in Katie having a head injury. She had to recover for a long time, and now she still gets these really bad migraines. She can't actually remember what happened though. So the book is about her trying to figure out what happened that summer. If you read and watch a lot of mysteries and thrillers, you will probably figure out where things are going rather quickly. And the mystery was definitely not as elaborate as I was expecting it to be, so for me, the plot was a little bit disappointing. It is, however, a really easy read. I finished the book quite quickly. I thought the writing was fine, with the exception of some moments where, to me, it was a little cringy. What I was personally missing a little bit were descriptions of some of these key places and moments that I think would have impacted the way I read it. The characters I didn't think were that well fleshed out. They all served a purpose, but I felt like they lacked in depth. I wasn't invested in a story because I wasn't really invested in the characters. I gave it 3 stars because I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I can't say I really enjoyed it either. If you are new to mystery, thriller genre, and you want something that is short, that is not really scary, something that is very casual to read, then I might recommend this to you, but otherwise I don't think I'll be talking about this book a whole lot. Next, I read the last book in the Inheritance Games trilogy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes called The Final Gambit, which lived up to my expectations, which weren't particularly high. I was disappointed with book number 2, and book 3 confirmed that this could have just been a duology. My overall assessment of this series, without spoilers, is that it's quite forgettable. It's only been a week and I wouldn't be able to tell you the details of the plot line or the ending. If you didn't hear me talk about this series yet, in the Inheritance Games trilogy, Avery Grams suddenly gets informed that a man called Tobias Hawthorne has left her his entire fortune. She doesn't know this man, let alone why he has left her his entire inheritance rather than his actual family. The condition to receiving this incredibly large amount of money and assets is that she needs to live in the Hawthorne mansion for a year, a mansion where the rest of the family also lives. So, of course, this is not without any challengers and potential dangers. On top of that, the man has left many puzzles and riddles for his children, and especially his grandchildren, 4 boys, so of course there is a romance aspect to it as well. In the final book, all the riddles and mysteries kind of come together, but I won't talk about the plot so as to not spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it yet. I preferred it over the second book, but mainly because I was just glad it was coming to an end and everything was finally just coming together. I thought the books were easy to read. Book 1 in particular I think is a good one to get back into reading because it's an easy one to just fly through. I don't think you necessarily need to read the rest of the series. All of them are just as easy to read, I would say, but the story is a bit dragged out in book 2 and 3. There are a lot of characters in this book, some relatively memorable, but I think most of them lacked a little bit of depth and definitely character development, with the exception of a few. There are definitely a number of characters that I really liked, but I think I was expecting a bit more in terms of understanding the characters and their relationship with each other and seeing them grow. So overall, as I said, not the most memorable series, probably not one that I would read again, but if you really like puzzles and mysteries and young adult, then you might still enjoy this. The next book I read was A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. We are introduced to Margaret Welty, daughter of the famous alchemist. Her mom has been away on research for over 3 months, which is much longer than usual, so Margaret starts to wonder if she will ever come back, but powers through life and in this giant mansion in the middle of nowhere. Then we have Weston Winters, an alchemist with a subpar track record looking for an apprenticeship. Margaret's mom is kind of his last hope, and since she didn't outright decline his application, he decides to just go there and talk his way into the apprenticeship. Of course, she is not home, and he meets Margaret. They get off to a rocky start, but eventually Margaret allows him to stay on the condition that he joins her in the Half Moon Hunt, which is a hunt for the Hala, a magical, wolf-like, mythical creature. And she hopes that this will put her mother's research to rest and will earn Weston the apprenticeship. What follows is a story full of adventure and romance, but also touches on themes of complicated parent relationships, minorities, and prejudice. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 4 stars, although I might even bump it up to 4.5, depending on how I look back at it. I thought the writing was really beautiful, it's really atmospheric, but it was still easy to read, and I read it quite fast. The pacing worked to keep up the suspense of the hunt by leaving in enough mystical and mysterious moments with the Hala and balanced out well with the romance aspect and the backstories of the 2 main characters. The main plotline itself is really interesting too. I haven't read that many fantasy books involving alchemy, but it was quite accessible to read. It also goes quite beyond just the main storyline of the hunt, which made the story a lot more meaningful and wholesome. I liked the characters. They weren't perfect. I wouldn't even say that they were necessarily likable, but I was quite invested in their development, and I think it was a really beautiful journey to watch them open up and grow. It is a standalone, so there is not that much world building, but I still think that the alchemy aspect and the setting were well explained. So I would really recommend this book if you like young adult fantasy, adventure, and romance. The last book I read in December was The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, a collection of short stories by Mariana Enriquez. If you have heard of the author before, you will know that the stories are disturbing and uncomfortable to read and has some elements of magical realism. It was the last book I read in 2022, and it was also the first book of 2022 that I actually did not finish. After a few stories, I thought it was good, but just not quite for me. While I love spooky things and I love magical realism, there were just too many parts of the book that were just really dark or very, very uncomfortable, in which people were portrayed as inherently bad and unkind towards other people. And maybe that was a point. Maybe I didn't fully understand the context or what the author was trying to convey, but it just wasn't what I was looking for to read. I actually don't mind feeling uncomfortable while reading, because I think it's necessary sometimes to discuss topics that we are uncomfortable about. But in this case, it felt a little pointless. At times, I didn't quite get it. So yeah, I think that sums it up. I think that if you do really love gory horror and uncomfortable images combined with magical realism, this might still really be the book for you. I did look at a few reviews of the book before writing this, and I just wanted to highlight that there are a lot of content warnings, and one I didn't know about before is that there is repeated use of transphobic slurs, and so I thought that was important to just quickly highlight in case any of you are interested in reading it. So that was it for my final wrap up of 2022. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.